Hi, hello, good day, kia ora, welcome to the studio. I'm Paula from MoxyMojo, and thank you for joining me for the second prompt, I should say, on the 2nd of December for Dephemerember 2025. So much happening on my desk, I know. So let's just start very quickly with no snack today, but today's tea is Twinings Infuse. It's a cold water infusion, and the flavour is watermelon, strawberry, and mint. So I've swapped up my drink bottle as well. So hopefully we have a non-leaking water bottle. Now, the only thing, I love these. I did forget to put some ice in here, but that's cool. But the only thing I don't like is that the tea bags are these like silky little wee numbers instead of somewhere under here these. So I don't get a very cool tea-dyed tea bag. Nor do I get a tag, but it's still nice, and it's nice and refreshing, so we will put up with that. Okay, so let's just shift this off the desk. I've got that just to one side. So I've pulled out some bits and pieces from Robyn and some bits and pieces from Tanja, and then to kind of add to it, last year, maybe even the year before, no, it was in between the two Dephemerember, Tanja and I, sort of following on from a 5-item swap that Barbara and Louisa had done, decided that we would do our own. But that would wait until the two ladies did their next 5-item challenge, and then we do ours. But we kind of missed that somewhere along the way. So we thought, okay, well, let's see if we can put these items in somewhere in Dephemerember. It doesn't have to happen, but if it did, it did. So I've got a bag of goodies from Tanja, which are very cool. I've just put them into the matching paper bag so that I would know what they were. Got a Gloria Jeans cover. I've got a notice for a book sale. I've got some Easter egg foil, some Hessian, some white fabric. No, you're the best. And a little wee envelope that has got some stamps and some die cuts, and these are like a very lightweight chipboard die cut. I've got 2 butterflies and a dragonfly and some stamps, which I think I mentioned. So I've pulled like a couple of those out. Oh, don't want to break the antenna off. So we'll see if we can squeeze those in. But why I thought I would introduce them is because on the outside of my parcel that I sent to Tanja, there is this great big bold number. Now this was on the tag that I sort of put there. You know, this is a 5-item challenge. So I thought, okay, well, let's include that. And I have had this pretty much sealed since the day that I sent it over to Tanja. So I can't even remember what I put in there. We've got a dyed sari ribbon. No, that's seam binding, sorry. Seam binding. I've got a little wee charm which says, how beautiful life is when you're in the world. And that's quite a heavyweight charm. We've got our tag, which I definitely want to use. And then in here, what have we got? Okay, so I've got some, this was some macrame. I've got a little bag charm, some jewel, like a jeweled embellishment, some buttons, and these are vintage buttons. And then in here I've got some, these are papers from cleaning up. Oh, this was from like cleaning a brush when I was using blue paint, I think it was. And this is like watercolor ink and some of the Liquitex metallic ink on it. So, don't know that I'll use any of these, but I do want to use the number 5. So let's just put everything away for now. Put all of that in there. Okay, so we're going to use the number 5. The prompt is floating pocket and bold numbers. Now this one had me stumped for a few minutes. I will be honest. Like, what on earth is a floating pocket? I've got no idea, so I'm just going to come up with something. And like, this is kind of what popped into my head when I had to think about, okay, well, what is a floating pocket? I'm going to use this as my base because the pocket I envisage needs to be attached to something. And this was included in the items from Tanja, the 50 items from Tanja. And it is like a cardboard box, inside of a box. And she has decoupaged or collaged onto it different bits of paper, and I absolutely love it. And I'm even somewhat reluctant to cover it up, but that's okay. I need it as a base because I need to get my measurements for what my pocket will be. So that's what we're working to. And just for interest's sake, and because I need to do the measurements at some stage, it is 4 3/8 or 11.1 centimeters by 80 centimeters or 7 7/8. So all I've done is I've just trimmed off like 1 millimeter off each side just to straighten it up. Other than that, it is exactly as Tanja sent it to me. So now I've pulled out this bit of paper from Robyn. It's the top of a sheet of music paper, and someone's very kindly like scribbled on, made notes on it. But I thought this is going to be big enough for what I want. I'm going to need my ruler and a pencil. So I want my pocket to be, so if this, say, about 3 inches. So if we do 3 inches by 3 inches, that's a nice sized pocket. I'm going to trim off part of it, but then I want to fold it down just to add a little bit of security to my pocket. So if we trim about there, that should be enough. So, and I mean, I did kind of want that writing, but I prefer this side of the page. So there, that looks pretty straight. Just tearing that off, we'll put that to one side. So now I need this to be, right, so 3 inches takes me to just under this first line of music, first row. That's okay. In order to create my pocket, I need my pocket face, which is the 3 by 3. I'm then going to add in a gusset behind that's going to be almost a hidden gusset that's going to hold it up from the page effectively and create the floating look. At least that's kind of how I'm envisaging it's going to work. Whether it does or not is a different story. So we might as well just start, well, I do kind of want it to be slightly even, so let's tear along kind of one edge as well. Right, so this is giving me, so that's my starting corner. So I want to have, so I've got my 3 by 3, and then my gusset needs to be twofold. Got our pocket there. Then we're going to put in a big gusset and then a small gusset. A big gusset and then a small gusset. So my big gusset I think needs to, so we've got 3 across and 3 down. We then need for the gusset either side, let's make it, if I make it a 3/4, 3/4 plus 3/4, and then if I make it a 1/4 inch, so plus 1/4 and 1/4, so that's 5 inches by, and this will be 4 inches. Okay, right. Simple maths. We're going to keep it simple. So we want it to be 5 inches across. So that is about there. And there. And so this is going to be our base. So we're just creating a pocket base that you can, and I mean you can make mass make these to your heart's content and store them away until you need them. So, and this one's 4 by 4. So there and there. Right. So that is our starting of our pocket, believe it or not. We're going to now draw in or mark in 1 and 1, and we'll do down here 1 and 1, because that leaves us with our 3 inches across, and then we're going to measure 3 inches by 3 inches. So it's just double check. So that is 3, 3, and 3. So we've got an inch fold here, an inch fold here, and an inch fold on the bottom. So now because I'm just using, oh, hang on, we forgot about our fold over. That's okay. That's okay. We'll sort that one out after I'd busy just said it. Right. So because I'm using paper, it's a fairly heavyweight paper, but I am just going to use my ruler to create my fold line. So there, it's on 1 inch, near enough. So that one's good. That one needs to come in just a smidge. So we'll just straight, there we go, 1 fold. So now we're going to do the same on this side. Now we're also going to fold the bottom. Folding in the side, folding in the side. That is our 3 by 3 pocket. Awesome. But these are not a gusset. So what we need to do now is on the right side, we're going to mark our 1/4 inch. And this is where I'm testing to see if this is enough. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to lift this up and fold up. Now, I mean, if you wanted to use your scoreboard for this, then by all means use your scoreboard. But because this is just like a paper, I just figured that's going to be enough. So now, how this is going to work is, so we've got our face here, and you'll see that's our gusset there. So I'm going to adhere just this strip here onto our page, and this bit is effectively going to be sitting up in the air. So let's try the other side. Our second gusset on the opposite side, so you can see those. Gusset there, gusset there. So now we're going to do exactly the same on the bottom. The big problem we've got is we've got a whole lot of bulk in the corner that we don't need. So what are we going to trim? This is the big question. We need to trim to the corner here, but I think what I want to do is do it on a slight angle. So if we look at the top, we're going to trim on a very slight angle like that, going into where that main fold is for there. So you see it just goes down. If I, hang on, or if I put that in there, actually that side there will be better. So I'm lining that up with the top of the pocket, and you'll see how it's just got a little bit down compared to the top. Right, so we're going to do that the same on this one. One, so that's 2. So now we need to do the exact same thing. So there's our fold. So we're going to go into that corner. There's the fold. We're going to go into that corner. So see how they're slightly off, and then it's like off the straight line, I mean. It's 1 and 2. And just like that, we now have our pocket base. So look at that. There we go. So I mean, what I would probably do is make up a whole lot of pockets just like that, and put those together, and that would be my builder base layer. Now the only other thing is I'm looking at this. No, that's not going to work. What we actually need to do is we need to cut on an angle, because at the moment these are crossing on top of each other, so as soon as you glue one down, the other is not going to work. So that needs to be straight. But if we, so long as we do it, let's try just doing it straight like that. So I'm just going to get my longer scissors, and we're going to go like draw a line, pull up, otherwise it's going to go horribly wrong. This is why we test and check. So we're going to need to go just a little bit outside of that one. Yeah. Alright, so now that's better, so they will not impede each other. And that's what we need to do. Now we have our base layer, our pocket base, and just looking at it sitting on the table, that is a floating pocket. Here's our page it's going to be sitting on. So if I, like, you can see how much that is popped out. I think that is going to work. What we need to do now is I want to strengthen the top and sort of start to decorate it a little bit in terms of like altering the layers. I want to do something that's like a little bit decorative. So what have I got here in? I've got this. This is like obviously like it's like a sticky label off something, like something that's been packed. It's some kind of snack, but if we were to, because it's on vellum, so I could quite easily just like cut that to size, fold the vellum over the top, and or even if I wanted to do it just with the no, see, I think I need to do it like this one, this way. If I do it like that, then I get two hearts in. Okay, so we will, I'm going to trim it at the 3 hearts. And then I'm going to go so I want to do about so that's about 1/4 of an inch. Slightly uneven. Now we need to do just about, I'll do a generous 1/4 of an inch on that side. And then below, some fancy scissors, and we are going to create a edge underneath. So there we go. So all these scissors do is they create a scalloped edge, and it's a 3mm scalloped edge, and I bought those scissors from Temu, so they were about $10 New Zealand, $10–11, so you know, a wee bit expensive, but I've not found anything like that anywhere else. Now I've folded over that edge albeit slightly uneven. And that is now going to sit there and just fold over that edge. So I'm going to jump right in and do some gluing. Gives us extra support for that edge. I'm going to slice along here so that the vellum now lines up with the paper underneath. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put in, I'm going to have a look, I've pulled out some different papers and we're going to kind of zhuzh this up a wee bit. We've got some numbers because now I've got to remember I want it to go with this. So we're going to put the matte paper on there. So I think let's just stick that down, shall we? We don't want to do too much because we've got that great big number 5 to go onto our pocket. So we're going to put this over there like that. Now, okay, so we're looking at it's going to sit on here. Whoops, no. It's going to sit on here. Kind of like that teal, so maybe some of this will fit in there. But I like this learn more inside on there. Now I know that looks like I'm being kind of particular, but yeah. I'm just going onto the front of the pocket, not the gusset bits. That's cool. And that's all I'm going to do, to be honest. All I've done is I've just like broken up that background that we had and I've altered the layer to give it a bit more dimension and interest. So I'm happy that we've created our space for the final decorating. So again, you can stop at this stage. So build a whole range of different sized pockets and put them into your stash. Then when you've got a whole lot of different bits of scraps on your table, you can pull out some of your bases, whether it's pockets or like the paper clips from yesterday, and start to decorate them, and then again put them back into your stash until you are making that journal and you're wanting to add bits and pieces to it. And so then the next layer, which is where we are heading now, is when we then decorate the face. So we're going to put on our bits that tie it to the journal that it's going into. So in this case, we've got our journal bit here, and we just happen to say, oh look, those colours go quite well together, so we're going to put this pocket in here. Now we're going to add in the focal images with the dressing the face of the piece. So for that, that's where I start to look to like the bold numbers. So here we go. We've got our number 5. We need to put this on somehow. I've also got these cool numbers that Tanja sent me. A couple of bingo cards from Robyn. I thought might be quite cool. This Monopoly Money. And then I've got this, but I think the yellow's going to be too far out. Monopoly, I think that's just going to look too busy. The red might be quite cool. That's the wrong blue, so we'll put that to one side. But I also have this token from Robyn, so that was part of the game sort of bits. So I think I might use that rather than here, because I've got 70 here as well. So we've got that. And I've got some green numbers, which, I mean, some of them might be okay. So these ones, or even these ones, so they don't look too bad. This, like, big kids room 273. So I might just like sort of layer on a whole lot of different numbers and see how that looks. And then I've got these, which are gesso embossed through a stencil that Tanja sent me previously, that I thought they're actually really quite bold. So maybe I use those as well. So, we'll see what we're looking at. Here we are with our numbers. We've got a date, 273. We've got these numbers. I'll come back to all of these. Oops. I do want that 5. I like the idea of putting in 024. Oh, because I was thinking about putting in 2025 for 2025, but I like the idea of going 02 for the second, or even just a 2. That's kind of not really the green that goes with that. Although it is. So we've got 02. So let's put the 5 away. Sometimes you've got to do the process of elimination. Now, this is pretty big. So what I might actually do is fussy cut this out. So I'm going to speed through this because you do not need to see me fussy cutting this. And we're back. Okay, all cut out. That looks quite cool. Whoops, apart from I didn't cut the edge very well. I was originally going to leave a border around it, but then I couldn't cut an even border, so we got it cut right on the edge of the stamping line. Right, so now that looks pretty cool, pretty bold. I was going to say pretty bold as I said cool, so you got cold. Yeah, because that's the way my brain works. Right. Just go. There, and there. So we've got a bold date. And then I've left the tail on because I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So we've got that. We've got our bold number 5. And I'm kind of using this almost as my altered layers as well. Now, the question is, I'm still making up my mind on this. I think it's going to be this one. So these are 2 rather than these ones. You want 2? Yeah, I think we'll just leave it as a 2. So they can go back into the stash. I like this being like my third really red thing. looks kind of even. Right. I kind of like that there's, you know, description there and it matches that colour. That's, I think, why I'm kind of drawn to it. And it goes there. So that gives me my 3 green and then I've got 3 red. And it's kind of a teal, so not quite, but nearly there. So in which case maybe I don't need the date. Now we so we're going to put this down. We're going to put it down like about here, I think, our pocket. So let's adhere that in place. And then we've got those on there. So we're going to make sure these are all folded back. And so we're gluing on this 1/4 inch gusset on the 3 sides. And I just need to make sure I didn't get any glue under there. Nope. Right, so here goes. We are putting it down here on our page, but it's like a background. And I'm not sure why I'm, pushing the glue down around here, because it's inside there a wee bit. And glue this down. Right. And now, right, yeah, so it's not popped up quite as much, but you can definitely see it is floating above the page. We're going to put on our number 5. So, and I mean, there's no reason why I can't actually now extend this beyond the corner. That looks quite cool. So if I leave that bit and the little, right, so, okay. Right, so I haven't glued along the bottom here or along this side. There and there. So that will, right, so awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now we've got our number 70. I think will be over here. We want our big number 2, so where's that going to go? That's going to go there. Because if I do it kind of that way, then we get the 2 and the 5 being 25, but also the 2. So I want to tear that about there. So there. And then am I going to decorate it with something as well? Oops, knocking that over. This is so not how I planned this out. As you can tell from, you can't see them, I got inks out and everything. I was going to do stamping and stuff. Right, there. want to hide that special trimmed thing there. We're going to put that on there now, and then we're going to do there. So, right, so that one there. So I'm pushing my pocket back down again, I know, but that's okay. I like, and this was in this year's swap, this to empower and to inspire and empower. I like that. Will it fit? It doesn't matter. Let's be honest, it doesn't matter. So if do we want the scissors again? Let's go with the flash scissors again. There we get very flash and fancy. I like it. So that is everything there. So we started off with our pocket base. And then we decorated it with like our matte paper and the part of the chocolate wrapper and strengthened the edge of our pocket. And then finally we have decorated the front of the pocket. And so now we have our floating pocket. So you can see, yes, it is out from the page. And you can see definitely on this side there's quite the shadow there. So I think that looks awesome. Right, I'm so pleased this worked out because I was really worried that my pocket was not going to float, but I'm glad that it does. Hopefully I've given you some ideas on different things that you can try, whether it is in just creating pockets, sort of that production style, like the floating style of the pocket, decorating and different ideas there, making sure that you do put a top edge to strengthen your pocket, and then even some ideas on you know, like why not put items, you know, have your decoration hanging off the pocket. I think it looks really cool. I'm pleased with it, and yeah, I am stoked that it is floating. Really stoked. So anyway, thank you for joining me here for today's prompt response. I will see you back in 2 days time, because we get a day off, of course, for day 4 on the 4th. And I'll see you back in the studio then. Bye for now.